working together to develop quality allied healthcare professionals. AMCA continues to provide free study material and practice tests, free job placement assistance, free instructor testing, along with comprehensive reporting and our top quality customer service. The AMCA has 11 certification exams, 5 NCCA credit exams, and 3 career advancement programs. Choose the AMCA for your national certification needs.
CIW is a leading provider of information technology skills to students and professionals around the world. CIW is recognized in more than 90 countries as an industry standard in IT education and certification by academic institutions, governments, businesses, and professionals alike. As a global leader in IT education, CIW has educated more than 1 million students and awarded more than 160,000 professional certifications throughout thousands of high schools, colleges, universities, and learning centers worldwide. We prepare students for careers in web development, web design, network and database administration, cybersecurity, applications development, software development, digital marketing, graphic design, and video animation. CIW, where technology careers are built.
F.A. Davis is an independent, family-owned publisher of educational solutions for the nursing and health science professions. We're dedicated to listening to our customers and to developing innovative products empowered by the technology that is changing how students are learning, instructors are teaching, and professionals are practicing. Our entire team is dedicated to meeting your needs in key programs. These programs include medical assisting, phlebotomy, massage therapy, IV therapy, emergency medical services, medical terminology, and anatomy and physiology. We measure our success by your successes. Call on us to learn more and enjoy CETI.
Aceware Systems is proud to be a sponsor of the 2021 SETI Conference. For over 30 years, we've worked alongside you to provide the tools you need for course management and registration. We understand the unique needs and challenges of non-credit programs. We know you need software as flexible and customizable as the programs you develop for students and industry. Contact us to see Aceware in action. When you're ready for a change in a software partner, we're ready to help you grow your program. Enjoy the conference.
recognized in more than 90 countries as an industry standard in IT education and certification by academic institutions, governments, businesses, and professionals alike. As a global leader in IT education, CIW has educated more than 1 million students and awarded more than 160,000 professional certifications throughout thousands of high schools, colleges, universities, and learning centers worldwide. We prepare students for careers in web development, web design, network and database administration, cybersecurity, applications development, software development, digital marketing, graphic design, and video animation. CIW, where technology careers are built.
F.A. Davis is an independent, family-owned publisher of educational solutions for the nursing and health science professions. We're dedicated to listening to our customers and to developing innovative products empowered by the technology that is changing how students are learning, instructors are teaching, and professionals are practicing. Our entire team is dedicated to meeting your needs in key programs. These programs include medical assisting, phlebotomy, massage therapy, IV therapy, emergency medical services, medical terminology, and anatomy and physiology. We measure our success by your successes. Call on us to learn more and enjoy CETI.
Welcome to the American Medical Certification Association, working together to develop quality. It continues to provide free study material and practice tests, free job placement assistance, free instructor testing, along with comprehensive reporting and our top quality customer service. The AMCA has 11 certification exams, 5 NCCA credit exams, and 3 career advancement programs. Choose the AMCA for your national certification needs.
Aceware Systems is proud to be a sponsor of the 2021 SETI Conference. For over 30 years, we've worked alongside you to provide the tools you need for course management and registration. We understand the unique needs and challenges of non-credit programs. We know you need software as flexible and customizable as the programs you develop for students and industry. Contact us to see Aceware in action. When you're ready for a change in a software partner, we're ready to help you grow your program. Enjoy the conference.
Welcome, everyone, to the Continuing Education Training Institute, otherwise known as SETI. that's brought to you by these wonderful sponsors that you see on the slide. Without our sponsors, we would not be able to provide this to you, our attendees, at no charge. And we're very proud of our sponsors that we work with, associate with, colleagues, because we do spend most of our time during the day working. Next slide. We have a few SETI housekeeping rules. This SETI session is being recorded. If you signed up for SETI, you will get a copy of all recordings for all sessions and the links to the PDFs. So if for whatever reason you were called away today and are not able to attend live, you will still get it. Attendees are automatically muted when joining because many of us are working from home these days, and you do not want to hear my cats. I don't want to hear your cats and dogs or children. So we are muting you, but we do highly encourage you to use the question and answer box that's located on your lower navigation bar for all questions. And we'll get to them at the end of the session. And I'm thoroughly convinced this is going to be a very engaging session that you all will have some questions. We do appreciate if you'll post to social media using our hashtag SETI 2020. And for all of us who are interested in lifelong learning, continuous learning year round, join our SETI alumni group on LinkedIn. And that way all of you wonderful people will be able to share ideas year long to help each and every one of you in your service area. Next slide. Today's presentation is Career Demand for Healthcare Certifications by my friend and colleague, Danielle Segigi. And Danielle has over 29 years of experience in the allied health industry. She's currently the Vice President, co-owner of AMCA, the American Medical Certification Association. She has a vast array of experience in post-secondary area. She's been a school director, a marketing agent, director of marketing for a national certification agency, and she's presently on the advisory board for 7 allied health schools. She's presented numerous conferences, I can attest to that, on stackable credentials, digital badges in the 21st century. She's extremely passionate about marketing, branding for the healthcare industry, and I'm proud to introduce you to Danielle Segigi, my friend and colleague. Danielle?
Thank you, Betty. And as you know, everyone at ProTrain is dear to my heart, and I do consider you family and friends. Just to circle back to the animals and dogs in the background, I just actually think it's enjoyable when they're sitting on people's laps and jumping on their keyboards. We don't want to hear them, but seeing them sometimes is fun. And I could not thank you enough for just inviting me to share a little bit of data that can help the individuals watching, listening to this and participating in this seminar about careers, healthcare occupations, and the demand. We have a lot of great data. If they're not currently offering healthcare programs after this, I think you and I can encourage them. They really should. ProTrain has fantastic programs that are absolutely going to be needed in the world after COVID for stackable credentials, earning more money. So I'm going to go through and give you lots of data. I like data to support any facts so you can make educated decisions. The best thing that my goal today is to give you a little bit of information where you can run, not walk, back to ProTrain and say, you know what, I need to add that program on, or let me know more information. ProTrain has a tremendous amount of short-term programs that absolutely could enhance the candidates that are taking healthcare jobs. They need to be more diverse. So I always like to start with a little bit of information, kind of helping everyone understanding certification. Exactly what is it? Any of the data that I speak about can actually be meant across the board, whether it be CompTIA with some great Windows certifications, or specifically to the healthcare industry. And the credentialing engine, so if you're an organization running any type of short-term program and you're looking into, let me see why I need a credential at the end of the program. The credentialing engine is a tool developed by the government, and it's created to create transparency for all the certification agencies. So if you're not really sure which certification agency to use or what or where, they do all the crosswalks for you. They do comparisons. So they actually state that today there are 6,700 different certification agencies awarded to over 43 million Americans. So we all know that by the end of this presentation, you're going to see a lot of data that supports short-term programs moving into the world of certification, leading to degree-based. But that data alone has been exasperated by COVID. I mean, people all know working from home, let's take some programs online and get a certification to validate the skills. So those numbers I thought were pretty impressive if you're curious about what the world of certification is and understanding it. Another great thing is certifications, if people wonder what they are, like I said, whether it be healthcare or whether it be CompTIA, and I know that CompTIA's got some great information at this conference to share, that it is a validation or an attestation of a person's ability to perform a skill or task. And it's very relevant to a specific professional setting. So my world is healthcare, so I will always turn to a phlebotomy or a medical assistant. But a phlebotomy is a great example. There is no licensure attached. So a certification, if an industry doesn't have a licensure, the licensure validates the skills. I'm a licensed doctor, so I have that license to make everyone feel warm and cozy that he can perform certain surgeries. Well, a phlebotomist would get a national certification, validated my skills so that I know that when that needle is being put into my arm, I'm not going to have a blood clot or a hematoma or something like that. So a certification is simply an attestation that validates one's skill set. And the US Department of Education is so behind this and so part of the movement that they have real data that shows certification leads to higher earnings. And I'm going to get into that a little bit more later. Fun fact, I love this. 27% of people with post-secondary certifications, post-secondary meaning great programs like ProTrain, actually earn more money than candidates with a bachelor's degree. I know there's a lot of us out there that have associates and bachelor's degrees and masters, and they all are great to us, but 27% of people holding certifications are earning more money. So that is something to think about. Why do I want to learn more about certifications? And why do I want to offer short-term certification programs? So why focus on a little bit more? People don't realize that certification, they absolutely they're rapidly can change due to the labor market. And a great example when they say, what does that mean? Well, certification organizations are required to build an exam that validates skills. They have to redo their exam blueprint every 5 years, and that's based on a job task analysis. Job task analysis basically is analyzing the industry of thousands of people holding that profession and finding out, what do you do on a daily basis? How important is it? How often? That absolutely creates an exam blueprint so that we know what skills a medical assistant might need to perform and what needs to be validated. So if certification agencies that are accredited, make sure you're using a good certification agency like AMCA, you want to make sure that they're running new blueprints every 5 years to create new exams. And a great example is medical assisting. 5 years ago, all of us who are involved with medical assisting can absolutely say there was a drastic change in their workflow. 5 years ago, they absolutely did a high level of EKGs and phlebotomy. I mean, close to 60% of their job could have consisted of it. Today, it's down to like 7%. They need knowledge of, they need to know about gathering specimens and so forth, but they're not performing them. So if you're curious about certifications and why, know that certifications quickly adapt to the changes in the labor market, which will help the occupant get the job. So employers want to know, well, how do I know what skills they're validating? And are they relevant to the industry, to today's industry? So it's a major connection. You really need to learn more about that. And I'm not comparing and I'm not knocking, but if you look at four-year degrees, a four-year degree that when you go into college, just take out, if your kid's in school, why don't you take out that book and see the last time it was published? Just saying, I'm not knocking anything. But the updates on books being used in 2- and 4-year degrees sometimes are a little more outdated, whereas certification can stand behind the standards that are relevant to validating skills. So like I said, I'm not knocking it. I'm just pointing out when you want to look at that, when you're looking at whose curriculum, the short-term curriculum being offered by ProTrain is current and relevant versus maybe some other current larger organizations that are not updating their curriculum. So those are just important things to talk about. So you, like I said, I want to open your eyes to certain details, make smart decisions. Healthcare jobs are projected to grow 13% between 2021 and 2031. That is a huge amount. That's actually 3 times the average growth of the overall job market. Out of the 10 most fastest growing careers, 6 are in healthcare. So if you're wondering about the value of certification and where is the healthcare occupations going, what's the demand? Well, right there, please don't underestimate the power of the Bureau of Labor Statistics. I am a data junkie, as I always say, but their data is valid, up to date. And if you need market research, you don't need to do it. They've got it all. So great data if you're thinking of adding programs to find out what the job market is specific to your area. They can zone in on your county. Really great stuff. Something very interesting to make sure to want you to think about is, so currently, how is the job market made up? How, what's going on in the job market? Recent studies have proven that 33% of the job market today is made up of candidates holding 4-year degrees. Fantastic. 30% is made up of associate. But currently today, after COVID, the job market is made up of 37% of people holding a skill-based job or certification. Once again, just want to point out some details so that if you're not running certification or short-term programs, you might want to think of a great way to add on stackable credentials or short-term programs to get people out in the workforce ready. To one very interesting, and I love that Betty brought this up earlier, that she was discussing how everyone is a lifelong learner. And it is a known fact. 73% of the population today are lifelong learners. Candidates walk out of high school and they're not just, okay, I'm done with high school. They're deciding on career paths, short-term programs, long-term programs. And actually, even as we're getting older, 80% of adults today want to learn something just to make themselves more interesting, more valuable. 64% of us just want to learn something to allow us to help others, and especially in healthcare. Do I want to take that CPR course so I can literally help someone? So we've all been adapting with technology and computers and online programs being so accessible. We want to be lifelong learners, and that's exciting. Who wants to be stagnant? We want to constantly build our intelligence. One thing that I would like to point out, going back to our little pie chart on the last screen, is that the college degree, currently the college degree, people is worth 5 years. So I'm going to give an example, and I love my daughter to death. She is a hard worker. And so she graduated University of Arizona 4 years ago with I think she's got her bachelor's degree in something in the film industry. Fantastic. She's just started her first full-time job. I'm so proud of her, working her butt off, but her education in school has a shelf life of 5 years on that 4-year degree. So what has she already started to do? She started to look around. She needs to take all these online courses about staying on top of different scheduling, different new techniques in the film. So constantly think about becoming lifelong learners, think about the value. 43% of us also would like to be entrepreneurs. Especially in healthcare, you need to keep your mind set open that when you're talking healthcare occupations, phlebotomists, electronic health records, mental health, they all now can work for multiple doctor's offices. You don't have to just work in one hospital. With telehealth and the way things have changed, especially through COVID, everyone's adapted to that. I do not need to go to the office. They're sending nurses and technicians out on the road to gather the specimens, do the work so the doctor can focus on what they need. So there's a lot of exciting changes. I think years ago in healthcare, if you were a nurse, you got a job, you worked at a hospital, you stayed there. But you have options. People now have options where they could be entrepreneurs, work for multiple organizations, and build a family at the same time. So that I wouldn't be surprised if that freelance number goes even higher as we're rebounding from the pandemic. So I'd like to just point out a couple of things before I get into the demands for healthcare positions and giving the numbers and their incomes. The value of what the value of the certification brings to the certificate holder, the employer, and even to the public. Because if you understand that, you'll understand why, if I'm going to take a healthcare program, I need to take the program, I need to get certified so I understand applying for those jobs, what it means to 3 different markets. So if I'm the candidate and I took a certification, you don't realize that it absolutely, a certification increases the recognition by your peers. You earn respect. They absolutely, with data shown, this isn't stuff that I've just made up, but they've surveyed people holding certifications and people who didn't, and they get more respect from their peers because they took that extra step. Let me validate my skills. It improved their opportunities for employability and career advancement. Hands down, that is one of the biggest things that we talk about, the value of a certification. It gives greater confidence. People who hold certifications literally have told me that I walked in there with my head high. I knew those skills. I passed the test, and your confidence on the job does a lot. So if the certification can provide that, make you more confident, you are going to perform on a higher level. That absolutely. And what about the trust from the public? I know the same thing. I just recently had blood work done. And before I sat down in that chair, I wanted to know if that phlebotomist was certified. Did you go the extra step? They said yes, which was great. So I was more confident in them with my public safety, that before you stick that needle in my arm, I knew you knew what you were doing. At least it provided a level of trust. Increases autonomy in the workplace. Most important to someone who's holding the certification is, if you're going to take a short-term program, get nationally certified. Don't you want to make more money, especially in today's market with inflation? So it's proved, those are some proven facts about value of certification to a candidate. Now, what's the benefit to the consumer? Bottom line, like I just was telling you, I want to know that that person performing that skill was evaluated and assessed by a third party, and that they're competent to perform that task. So that, I think, is really important. It increased public safety. People in the healthcare world, as they learn about the value of a certification, they're realizing that people who are certified have less errors on the job. And it is absolutely a public safety to consumer protection. So that's pretty interesting. Accountability. People who hold national certifications have a code of conduct that they must abide by. And if not, their certifications are withdrawn. So it gives, the consumer should know that if I am certified, I'm being held accountable. And once again, it's good for the consumer to know that that candidate is constantly a lifelong learner. In order to keep my certification current, I must recertify, meaning I've got to go back to school, I've got to take short-term programs, and then I will be able to perform that task. So that's something for the consumer to know. For the employer, hands down, they know that it might not say required for that medical assistant job, but whether you're an employer on the phone, you can put in the chat box, please, let's interact a little bit. Tell me what you think, because if you're an employer, are you looking at a resume in the healthcare industry that's not certified? Probably no, because I've surveyed a lot of them, and 88% said that if the word certification is not on the resume, it's not getting done, because the certification is telling me I'm a qualified individual. That individual is qualified to do the job that they're applying for. The employers like that the candidates have to recertify. They need them to go back for HIPAA. They need them to go back for recertification on their CPR and stuff. All those count towards staying certified. The employer wants to know that the candidate is committed to public safety and cares about the consumer. The two biggest things that employers know, that candidates holding certifications absolutely reduce risk of error, which leads to less legal liability. So wouldn't I want to hire someone certified as opposed to someone who's not? There's a lot that comes behind the value of a certification. It has been proven that there's less turnover in an organization if someone is nationally certified. They're committed to the job, they're committed to the profession. And in healthcare, that's what they're looking for today. The demands for healthcare positions, they want someone to, they want to hire, stay with them, grow within. So if they know you're certified and you're going to have less turnover, there's some crazy number that I don't exactly have good data on, but it costs sometimes like $100,000 or hundreds of thousands of dollars to retrain people for certain positions and the time. So hospitals, just like any of us when we're hiring employees, we don't want turnover. So certification provides less turnover on the job. And the biggest thing, an employer always needs justification for why do I want to increase your compensation? So that is a big thing. And we see people getting bonuses for being certified all the time. Just a couple of facts I'm going to run through. I'm going to read them quickly because we want to really get into the demands for certain healthcare positions. But data, if you're wondering, where did I get all these fun facts? From surveys of thousands of different healthcare individuals holding certifications, 85% said it was easier to get hired. 95% felt it was a sense of achievement. 94% said it enhances professional credibility. So this is the data that supported everything that I just went over. 92% of people holding a national certification said it provided evidence of commitment to the profession. 91% said it added value to the profession. 88% believe the ethics required code of conduct for certifications are beneficial to the profession. Just a couple of more stats that are always helpful when you're thinking of adding or adding healthcare professions to your offerings. And another 87% believe it was evidence of the level of competency obtained. 42% of people holding a certification stated that their certification was required to meet jurisdictional requirements. I would tend to believe that that number is going to get higher and higher, as where people aren't putting the word required in the job opening, they're not looking at resumes that aren't. So even though they're not putting it in the job ad, as we survey individuals after, they got the job because they were certified. 66% were required to obtain certification by employer. And this is a little bit of a stickler point, whereas if you're a school on the line running short-term programs, you need to offer the certification at the end. I have a lot of large clients, Summit Medical, Village Medical, that there's such a shortage, close to 3,000 medical assistant shortage for Village Medical alone, and they need to hire certified medical assistants. They're getting candidates that aren't certified. Now HR is spending numerous hours trying to hire that candidate, track them, and get them certified within 6 months. So if you can provide a program, train them, give them level of skills, validate their skills with a certification, that candidate is going to have a smooth transition into the healthcare job demands that are out there, and they're going to be able to maintain and earn more money. So there's a lot to think about. 79% felt that certifications helped them prepare for their profession. And that's really important. When I walked on the job, I'm certified, I know I can do this job. 72% felt that certification helped them perform more effectively on the job. Remember, less errors, less liability. You know that the hospital's like that. So in regards to the current career demand for healthcare certifications, right now over the next decade, there'll be 2 million new jobs in the healthcare occupational world. That is a lot of jobs. So that had a lot to do with COVID, but it really had a lot to also do with the aging population. You've all heard it, but just to state it again, so that people that were approaching retirement when COVID hit, they just decided to retire. It led for a lot more job openings, and the schools were shut down. So now we couldn't really get people trained. So there is a high demand, high percentage of job openings, especially in the world of medical assistant and phlebotomy. So I definitely need to look at ProTrain's review courses for medical assisting, as well as their full medical assistant programs. And so one thing that was interesting, that in August of 2022, so we're in September, it was literally last month, they added healthcare, added an estimated 48,000 jobs. And that was above July. I didn't have July's numbers, but that came from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. That's a lot of jobs. So if you think there's job openings, you're going to choose a career, choose healthcare because you know there are job openings and there's such a vast array of them. I'm going to focus on a couple like physical therapy technician. This is one of my favorites because over the past 5 years, it really came from literally nothing to something because physical therapy assistants, there's a shortage. They cannot perform all their job tasks in a day. So they started hiring techs to help with the workflow. Let the assistant do the 4-year degree job that they were trained to perform, but the tech can help prep the area, can help bring the candidate in. There's certain things the tech can do that the assistant doesn't. So techs really came out of the shortage of assistants that is out there. And the shortage came because now think of it, over the past really 5 or 10 years, you go to a hospital, you have a surgery, and you go straight to a rehab center. There are rehab centers literally popping up on corners, just like clinics. We need rehab for everything. Well, who's in the rehab centers? You have the therapist, the physical therapy assistant, and you need technicians so to help the workflow. They're all under the guidance of the therapist, so never worry about that. But overall, physical therapy technician or aides is projected to grow 26%. That's enormous. And that also, physical therapy techs also aren't just in the rehabs, but also think of all the career tech schools and community college. They're all going off into the sports medicine world, which is a whole other industry that people never really specialized in, but technicians can go off into that world. So your level of interest can now be fulfilled. You can actually now like what you do. Go into a career that you are happy going to every day. About 23,000 job openings for physical therapy assistants are projected each year over the next decade. Last year, there was 25,000 job openings. The median salary started at 28,000. It's got a clear career path. That's the beautiful thing about a physical therapy tech. Start out as a tech. Let me work in the industry. Let me make decent money. Do I like it? What area do I want to work in? This is great. Now let me go back to school. Let me go to community college or to a 4-year degree. Let me move on to an assistant. Then maybe move on into my master's and getting an actual therapist position. So why not get started as a tech, making sure you love it? One of the hottest healthcare jobs and a huge demand. Mental health is right up there with physical therapy tech. Everybody knows that mental health is playing a major role in all of our lives. And the pandemic, just like I said, aspirated that. Mental health is kind of tricky, whereas a technician is entry level. A mental health technician is a fantastic stackable credential for any healthcare position. I need to be aware of certain things within the mental health world when I'm dealing with patients. So adding on a mental health technician certification is a very, very smart move. There's a 23% projected job growth for between 2020 and 2030. That's actually much faster than the average. Last year, there were 41,000 job openings. That is pretty impressive. Currently, which this number is crazy, in 2021, there were 327,000 mental health technicians. Why? Because it's entry level and you can move on into a higher role in mental health, which requires more certifications or more licensure, but also it is a good add-on for medical assistance phlebotomy. You need to be conscious of everything. It's the same thing going on with nutritional health. There's certain things that anyone in the healthcare industry should have knowledge of. Entry level. Average salary, $47,000, and that was from May of 2020. To become a mental health technician, it can vary from high school diploma, or people even with masters are going back to get certifications as a stackable credential. So keep your mind open as to what areas of mental health you would want to have on as an add-on, but it's definitely one of the top ones to keep on your radar. Phlebotomy is always holding strong. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, it has a 22% an increase in demands for phlebotomists through 2020 2030. And there are about 19,500 openings for phlebotomists projected each year over the next decade. So there's still lots of job openings. And why are there so many more phlebotomists? Going back to my example about medical assistant, 5 years ago, a medical assistant would, take you in the background, do your vitals, do your blood pressure, take your blood. They did more on hands. Today, the medical assistant's not. All the doctor's offices, all the labs, they are basically having I'm sure you've seen it in your own doctor's office. You have your own lab, you're drawing your own blood, sending it out to the lab. So the demand for phlebotomists, and everyone's being tested all the time for everything. so there's the increase in that alone. But a phlebotomist is a great standalone occupation. Earn an average of $36,000 as a technician. That's fantastic. Or you can have it as a great stackable credential. So phlebotomists typically start out as a post-secondary school non-degree, meaning with a high school diploma. You can enroll into a class and then earn a professional certification. This is one industry that I would definitely get a certification to validate your skills. Phlebotomy is a great stackable credential for a medical assistant, EKG, or a patient care technician. Really nice matchup for a patient care. The last one I'll talk about, which is one of the top healthcare jobs in high demand, is EKG technician. Same thing as we were talking about with phlebotomy. The medical assistant used to have to know where to place the nodes. They never interpreted the strip, but they needed to know everything about it. And they would take your vitals, set you up in the back room, and then, get it ready to run the EKG. Today, there are separate technicians that only do that. Even at my own doctor's office, I've noticed that. Medical assistant is doing one thing, then I go to a phlebotomist, then they send me to a different room for an EKG tech. There's projected to be a 20% growth in job openings in 21-31. Last year, there were 15,000 openings, and it's projected to grow every year to have those openings. The salary range, once again, $37,000. That is a very nice place to start at entry level. And you can get into a EKG technician course with a high school diploma. So going over that, those are some that I know are in high demand, some of the stats, some of the reasons they need to tie in certification, some of the salary ranges. Once again, I know ProTrain has probably a ton of data in regards to offering the program, how to increase enrollment and all that great stuff with their programs. So if you haven't partnered with ProTrain, go back to them and say, look, I need to add on some of these courses to the offerings online or in class. And then you could use some of this data to use for your marketing. So this data is available, like Betty said, everything's recorded. You can ask me for it. I'll send you the slides. It's also available on the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And I check that site regularly because when I'm doing my marketing for my for my certification, I need the most up-to-date information. These careers, these healthcare certifications, or these healthcare professions are in high demand. There's no slowing down. So I would look into these classes, and I hope I gave you a little bit of data to make your time spent with me valuable. And I'm here to answer questions. Betty, once again, thank you for allowing AMCA to be a sponsor. SETI is an amazing conference every year. And I was wondering if anybody had any questions.
Well, Danielle, before we get to that, I want to thank you for an excellent presentation, lots of great information. And of course, for all of our attendees out there, ProTrain is an option, and we're very proud to have many universities and community colleges as partners, as I know that you all have choices and you make a choice based on what's best for your school. And we do have a couple of questions, Danielle, and I know that you have to run here shortly, but I'm going to give you these couple of questions, and then you can introduce your colleague that will be able to answer the additional questions. So our first question is, why are so many young adults looking at short-term skill-based programs rather than a traditional four-year degree? And I believe, as adults, as working professionals, that work at a university or a community college, et cetera, that, oh my God, I'm on the academic side. Is my job in jeopardy? But yet, as you have explained to us very well in this presentation, a lot of people, are looking for that short-term certification to get a job. So Danielle, would you like to expand upon that?
I would. So, bottom line is, it's great that the high school students actually are doing their own homework and they're listening to what's going on in the market today. I could say that when I went to college, I don't want to say how many years ago, I don't think I ever did a cost analysis of the value. What college is going to cost me, what the debt's going to be, and then is that job matched? Am I going to be able to pay back those student loans? And with all the forbearance going on and the forgiveness going on, there's a lot of controversy going out there. So 53% of high school students today are choosing to go short-term program not to avoid a four-year degree. That's their goal, but they're choosing to find out, do I really like that profession? Do I really want to enter it? I think we've done something right as a society to train them to say, what else is out there? Let me go take a medical assistant course, see if I like even being in the medical industry before I've spent 4 years, drop out, have large debt and no degree. So like I said, it's never a knock, it's a comparison, and that should be their long-term goal. We're all going to be lifelong learners, but let's choose the university that I want to attend after I've already been in that industry for some time and realize this is really for me. So it's quite interesting, but that is really 53% are choosing to go short-term program, leading to more education.
That was a great answer, Danielle. And I believe that more and more of our society, we're as we are getting older, and I'll put myself in that bucket, as we're getting older, we have a lot of young people that are coming, out of middle school, out of high school, and they're trying to figure out where do they fit in society. And this is an excellent way for, entry-level certifications to figure out where your head's at and what you want to do with your life. We do have another question, and I think this leads right into what we were just talking about. So I do thank everyone for the question. What do you mean by stackable credentials? And I think I know the answer, but I want to hear your answer.
Oh, excellent. I know I kept saying that word stackable throughout the presentation. So I'm glad someone asked. That's really appreciated. So look, you got to keep an eye on stackable credentials because they can be one of three ways. You can do a horizontal, a vertical, or added value. And without getting very much involved, that's a whole nother presentation. That a horizontal, like a stackable credential, like a credential, if I'm a medical assistant, how do I make myself more valuable in that workspace? How do I secure my job? I could add on something like an EKG or a phlebotomy because it's relevant to that specific profession, making me more value, as opposed to a, I'm sorry, that was a vertical, sorry. So that's keeping it clear, career path. The horizontal would be like, I'm a medical assistant. Let me take an electronic health record or a billing and coding certification because now I'm more diverse within the job. So you can either secure your spot vertically within a career path leading up, or maybe I want to be the office manager, or I want to let the people who run the doctor's office know that I can do more than one. I can multitask outside of just one role. And then when it comes to another type of stackable is just added value. You have a tremendous market of people who have degrees in vast amount of professions, and they don't want to be in them. So they go back and they'll find certifications that will add value to my current degree. So I might have a degree as an accountant, but what is out there that would make me valuable for different jobs? So they're just little short-term programs. It doesn't always need to be a long-term. They could be webinars. There are micro-credentials that are stackable, as well as certifications that are stackable, but added value. So I hope I didn't confuse that.
No, that made total sense, Danielle, and thank you. And I hope that answers the question for our attendees. I do know that you have I do know you have another appointment, and we very much value your time. So your colleague, as you had told me, would stay on to answer any additional questions. So I think we're at that point. But again, I want to thank our sponsors, and we've had this slide up for quite some time because we want our attendees to know why and how you were able to attend our conference for free. It's totally because of the people that you see and the companies on this screen. I want to thank Danielle for her time and want to thank our sponsors once again.
Thank you, Sadie. I greatly appreciate it, being able to offer any information to anyone on the call.
Awesome. Okay. All right, I think that we are at the point that we're going to look and see what additional Q&A there is. And I want to thank Danielle profusely. She is always a tried and trooper, supporting the medical field and working with ProTrain, and we appreciate her very, very much. I also want to introduce to you Ed Davies, the Director of Operations and Finance for American Medical Career Association. And let's see what other questions that we have here. Mr. Ed, are there state requirements for mental health techs?
Hi, Betty. How are you?
I'm good and welcome, sir.
Thank you, and thank you for having us as part of your program. And to answer your question, the AMCA always encourages all of our programs and our proof test sites to know their state guidelines and to in their schools in the states that they reside. Rules and regulations do change frequently. So if you're offering a healthcare program, the school should know if there are required number of hours for teaching, required outcomes, or internships. Specifically, post-COVID has pushed mental health to the forefront of educators. What people have to realize is that there's a difference between a mental health counselor and a mental health technician. So a mental health counselor positions can require at least a bachelor's degree, although educational requirements can vary from a high school diploma certification to a master's degree for substance abuse and or behavioral disorder counselors. A master's degree and internships are typically required to become a mental health counselor. On the other hand, a mental health technician typically needs a post-secondary certificate, and the mental health aides need at least a high school diploma and or equivalent. So mental health technicians and aides who care for people with mental illnesses and developmental disabilities. Mental health tech job tasks revolve around processes and procedures, knowledge and understanding of psychological development, disease identification, disease character and traits, symptoms and signs, theory, protocol, and charting routes of administrative medication, or just to name a few. So there is a difference.
Well, and I would say, and I appreciate your answer there, I would say that many of us in continuing ed, we face the battle a lot of times of when we offer a program, especially now that we're living in a virtual world a lot. You know, if I'm offering a program, does my program meet the state requirements? And if I'm offering it online, and if I live in North Carolina and somebody in California wants to sign up for my program, you know, the student's going to say, you know, does this meet the requirements for my state? So I think a lot of times our answers are the following. We provide to you the basic line training, and you, the student, you need to figure out what your state requirements are, because it may not always be the same, because unfortunately it's not nationwide the same requirements, but the baseline of the training that we do is the same no matter what state you're in. But you, the student, and we have to explain that to our students, it is on you to figure out if you're going to stay in the state of, like I said, California or wherever, you need to figure out what your state requirements are. And then that might be additional homework on your side. Would you agree with that, Ed?
Yes, absolutely. And because you'll find the terminology also varies. So what you call in California a technician might be slightly varied to another state that might refer to it as an aide and vice versa. So that's why you got to be real careful to make sure you're on top of the current state guidelines in a specific state.
And as a school, I would not be afraid to offer a program that has state requirements, but I would highly encourage you to put a disclaimer on your outline that, you know, you're providing the baseline, but, you know, there are different state requirements and the students required to do that. So don't be afraid to offer a program just because there's different state requirements.
And those guidelines change. They're ever changing in every state. So you really have to stay on top of it.
All the time, everything's changing. We do have another question. Is there a large migration of baby boomers leaving healthcare from burnout due to COVID? And do you see it as an opportunity for continuing ed? I know what my answer is, but I want to hear what Ed's answer is.
All right. Well, burnout has long been a problem for physicians, nurses, and other healthcare professionals. And of course, during the pandemic has certainly sped up that process. So the question is, you know, how should healthcare leaders respond? And the answer, what we did is we'll take a look at what CEO of Optum Care Solutions, Dr. Patrick Conway, says, and he explores the move and looks into burnout and what happens. So his topics, when you look at him, include recognizing the complexities and what drives the burnout, identifying what motivates and satisfies the technicians, developing a tactical strategy to make delivering care easier, understanding the evolution of burnout post-COVID, get real world advice on what healthcare leaders can do to improve the experience. This includes the deepening mental health support, easing prior authorization, enabling better decision support, and increasing interoperability and more. So to answer your question, yes, we should identify what education is needed to prevent burnout, and to help assist you with additional continuing education is an absolute must.
I can take what you said, Ed, and apply it to most any profession, because we all want to strive to do more. We want to better ourselves, and COVID sort of put stress on all of us, and having to learn how to work from home, losing our job, finding another job, work from home, etc., especially in the healthcare industry. Can you imagine? I couldn't. I just couldn't do it. People that are working in the healthcare industry, that day in and day out, they're wearing a mask, and they're trying to do the profession and help people, with the fear that they actually might, you know, be affected themselves and take that when they go home at the end of the day. But you know, burnout is something, and I've had to teach myself this as well. I can't work 24/7. And I can't always focus on work. Sometimes you have to focus on the personal, and burnout is a real, it's a real thing. And so we all have to, and even for the young folks that are listening on this webinar, I was told one time by one of my supervisors, Betty, you don't need to work so hard because I'm afraid you're going to burn yourself out. And only now at my age, I'm now realizing what they meant. We have to take time for ourselves at certain points. So, and COVID has burnt out a lot of people, and I'm hoping that, you know, as we seem to be transitioning to a new normal, not the old normal, but a new normal, I hope that we all take to heart that we need time for ourselves. You know, what they all say, work-life balance, because it can't all be work. And we need to take time for ourselves, and we need to take time for our higher power. And together, if we mold all those together, then maybe it all makes sense at that point. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, very true. Very true. We're getting close, and part of my business is entering almost our 40th year. And I can see how I've changed now compared to what I was when I was in my 20s and 30s. So,
oh, I believe you 100%. If I don't see any other questions, and I'm looking on the Q&A and I'm looking on the chat, because I don't want to leave anybody out, but I want to thank Danielle sincerely, and Ed tremendously sincerely and thank you. I want to thank everybody that participated, and I want to remind those that are on the call, you will get a copy of the recording and the PowerPoint. And for anybody that signed up and you were unable to join because you got pulled to that work balance, you will also get a copy. So I wish the rest of you a wonderful day and a wonderful weekend. And thank you very much. And if you have any questions whatsoever, we are here to either via telephone or Teams, Skype, or email, whatever you want. We're here to help you. And thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.